All right, John Miller is director of the Herbert H. Dow II program in American journalism at Hillsdale College. Sounds much more impressive than he actually is. No, it's an amazing program. I've been here holding a seminar in that program all week long, and it has been just amazing. He is also a national correspondent for National Review. His books include The First Assassin, a novel set during the Civil War, and The Big Scrum, How Teddy Roosevelt Saved Football. He's also, and I did not know this until this trip, he is the founder and chairman of the Student Free Press Association, which supports collegiate journalism and is best known for its terrific news website, The College Fix. If you haven't looked at it, it is absolutely terrific. John, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, Drew.
It is great to see you, and I thank you so much for having me here as the Pulliam Distinguished Fellow. The idea that I'm a distinguished anything is just kind of lowers your department. But
we're all surprised by the by the acceptance of this pick, and I just wanted to be here to tell you we're all looking forward to your talk tonight here on campus, and then you have your last class tomorrow, and then you have to leave, Drew.
I do. I know they're going to have to drag me out of here, but I just wanted to make sure my speech was up to the to the standards. So I'm actually delivering Lincoln's inaugural address. I think that will be
just wear pants tonight. That's my one request.
A little different than the way I've been walking around campus up till now. So journalism. You are teaching these wonderful kids. I mean, just unbelievable kids. You're teaching them journalism. Is journalism as bad as Trump says it is, or is he out of line?
So journalism is at its best and at its worst right now. We see the worst all the time. I've been listening to you for the last few minutes. This has been like a seminar in the worst of journalism. Tune in every day. We'll hear more and more about it. A lot of bad journalism out in America. There's a lot of great journalism too, and that's because it's never been easier for us to get our hands on information and be able to report it. I remember when I was a young reporter in Washington D.C. I lived out there for 20 years. If you wanted to get the senator's statement, you didn't just log on to a website and have it, 30 seconds later. You had to call over there, hope to get the right person, ask, would you please fax it to me, and then walk over to the machine, and which, by the way, was really high tech, and we were all delighted to have fax machines, and then comes off on this bad paper that rolls up on you and all that kind of stuff. It was hard to do this stuff. I mean, I shouldn't say it was hard, it's tedious to get this information, but now we have so much at our fingertips, and a lot of it's good. Another problem, though, is a lot of it's bad. And one of the things we have to teach young people, especially, is how to discern the good from the bad and how to go through it and know what's a good source and what's not, and what's a true fact and what's a lie.
It can't be right. It's got to be something like 90% of mainstream journalists are now Democrats. And now, when I say mainstream, I'm talking about the networks. I'm talking about the Times and the Washington Post and major sources, certainly CNN. Am I wrong in thinking that there should be a hiring policy at some of these places to bring in high-level conservatives to serve at an editorial level, or is that just too much of a quota?
Well, it's definitely a problem. We hear so much about diversity and on campuses all over the place. And it's every kind of diversity except ideological diversity, or diversity of thought is a better way of putting it. And one of the best things newsrooms can do right now is think about hiring people who think a little bit differently from the herd mentalities you see there right now. And it's not about bringing bias into the newsroom. It's about bringing people with different kinds of perspectives, so that when some politician wants to raise the minimum wage and every Democrat starts jumping up and saying, yay, living wage, and so on and so forth, there might be someone in the room who says, what about jobs? And what about jobs for young people? And what's this going to mean for some poor kid who needs a starter job to learn that you need to show up on time and dress appropriately and how to make change and that sort of thing? Will that job be available for that person if we increase the minimum wage? Just those kinds of questions coming up would help coverage so much. Yeah. So yeah, I think they ought to think about bringing in people like that.
When students come here, and some of these students actually want to go on to be journalists, and they actually do go on to be journalists. When they come here, what are you thinking? What are you thinking you have to teach them first? What are the ABCs that you want to teach them?
Well, first and foremost, when you come to Hillsdale College, what you're getting is a traditional liberal arts education. Okay. And a lot of people, if they want to go into the media, if this is a career aspiration they have, they'll go to another school and they'll major in journalism. And that's a really bad idea. You should major in an actual academic subject, something like biology or economics or history or what have you. I have a young woman who's on campus right now, and she has a bright future in journalism ahead of her. And one of the first times I met her, I said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she said, I want to be an economics reporter. well, what do you think she should major in? Right? And so she is actually an economics major. And so we have journalism as a minor here, which puts it in its proper place. And so we will teach journalism in the classroom. There are some things we'll do about how to write, how to tell a story, how to check a fact, how to do an interview, how to lay out a newspaper page. All this kind of stuff will come up. But first and foremost, if you want to learn this, you need to do it. The way you learn journalism is by doing journalism. So we have a campus paper, you work on that. We have a campus radio station. If you want to learn to be a good talker, sit in front of a microphone and try it for a little while, right? You'll make all kinds of mistakes, but you'll get better and better and better, and suddenly you can do it. And so we teach them by having them do the actual work. And then when they're here at Hillsdale College, they're getting a great education in the traditional liberal arts, that small L liberal arts, right? The kind of small L liberalism that true conservatives want to conserve. But they're learning all kinds of appropriate things in the classroom, and then they can take that knowledge and bring it into the workforce and bring it into the newsrooms.
You know, one of the things I feel there's a tremendous need for people who gather facts, for people who actually go out and cover stories and get the facts. I mean, it's an actual craft. It's something you have to learn how to do. And I was there. I was in journalism when they came in and gutted a lot of the facility for doing that. There is now such a demand, an economic demand for opinion journalism, for people to sit and talk and have opinions. But the problem is when you're, when you're 20 or something, you don't really know enough to have any opinions. And once you become successful as an opinion giver, you never want to go on and learn that trade. You get somebody like Michael Knowles, who I don't even think you should be let to wander free, let alone voice his opinion. But seriously, how do you keep people from being drawn sucked into that tremendous industry of opinion journalism?
So you're right. There's a kind of narcissism to it about how everybody should know my opinion, right? And there's a sort of egotism that attaches to that, and I try and destroy it in these young people when they come here and think that way. And not all of them do, but there's often a compulsion that I want to be a media star, I want to be a pundit on some TV station, I want to give my opinion, have people listen to me and applaud when I speak it, that sort of thing. What I tell them is a thing I learned as a writer for National Review and being in that industry for so long, which is the best opinion journalism is driven by good reporting. Mm-hmm. And the most valuable thing you can do, unless you're a genius like Charles Krauthammer, who knows how to put everything or used to know how to put everything in context and deliver a good opinion that informs us all, no matter what you think about some subject. Unless you're that, and few of us are, what you need to do is go out and learn how to report, learn how to get new information, learn how to uncover interesting facts, come at topics from unusual angles in ways that will enlighten our understanding. And so you do the reporting, you ask the right questions, you gather the information, and then as you assemble it, maybe you can give your opinion. Maybe you can report from a kind of perspective and so on. But that's where the real value is. It's from making the phone calls, talking to people, learning what they think, and then putting it all together and presenting it to readers or viewers or listeners or whoever.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Now, I don't want to set you up to do a Hillsdale advertisement. I really don't. I'm asking this as a serious question. I've been here over a week, and everybody says this. That's not just me. Everybody says there is a magical quality to this place. As I was describing it to my wife the other day, I said it's like being sane. It's, when you come from LA, it's like being crazy. Being in LA is like being crazy. Everybody's a little crazy. Here you have this sense of sanity. Where is that coming from?
Well, it is a great institution,
really amazing,
and I love working here. And the students are terrific.
Yeah.
They're smart and hardworking, which is nice. But you could say that about students at a lot of places, right? That they're smart and hardworking. The ones who come here are that, but they're also good people. I like them. They get up on Sunday morning. Many of them go to church on their own at a time in life when many fall away from that kind of habit. They may get back into it later. But here at our church in town, you got to show up early if you want a seat on Sunday morning. But that so many students will come, and that's, well, number one, that's kind of a pain. But number two, it's nice to see. That's a good problem. So it's a different kind of place. It's made that way by the kind of person who comes here. There's a lot of self-selection that occurs. It takes a certain kind of person to come to Hillsdale. Hillsdale's not for everybody, but it's for an awful lot of people, and it's good for them. And so you get a certain kind of kid who comes here. Then the faculty's terrific. They're dedicated to the liberal arts. These are teachers who love what they teach. They are not English professors who, either want to remove Shakespeare from the curriculum because he's a dead white male, or when they teach him in a way that sort of subverts him or undermines him or delivers peculiar messages or whatever. No, these are teachers who are in love with what they teach, and they want to pass it on to their onto these students, and they recognize what a gift it is to be in that position where you get to talk about American history and what it's really about, and what are the great works of literature and what are the great ideas in science. So the faculty is excellent, and then finally, I just love living in Michigan. I mean, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere here.
It is the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it takes a little while to get here, but it's a nice place to be, and I like the people that surround us in the community, and mix it all together. You've got a wonderful little liberal arts college that punches way above its weight and stands for something important.
It really does. And I just like the fact that all the kids call you Miller. No Professor Miller, no Mr. Miller, it's just Miller. Even your daughter who's in my seminar, she said Miller.
Yeah, she does that. She does that all the time. One of the great things about Hillsdale too, and I suppose many of our listeners know this, is we take no federal money.
Yeah.
Right. Almost uniquely among colleges and universities in the land is Hillsdale College accepts no federal funds. And so it relies on tuition dollars for one thing, and it's reasonably priced, but also friends of the college to support what we do here. And they're critically important, and we deliver a good education. But what's funny is you'd think a federal government that is $20 trillion in the hole, you think they would maybe, send a thank you note to Hillsdale College. Thank you for facing.
They want you in debt to them.
But they really, they try every way they can to regulate this place, and the college has to defend itself constantly. And not taking federal aid, it allows us to have a tremendous amount of freedom and educate students the way they ought to be educated, and the way the college has been doing it since 1844, which, by the way, is a lot older than the Department of Education.
John Miller, he heads the journalism department here at Hillsdale College. Also, one of the terrific cultural writers, one of the very few writers on the culture, on pop culture, that I'm always excited to see his byline. Which I'm not that excited to see him personally, but I'm excited to see his byline. All right, thanks a lot, John.
Thanks, Drew.